Hello, hello, hello. It's coffee time again. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Gee, I wonder if there's any news of Prince Has on the Daily Mail website, because we're reading the news, so you don't have to. The news. Now, I said... Oh, dear. I actually said this would happen. Yesterday, there was a big news dump because Prince Has, Harry to his friends... his book Spare got leaked early. Well, it didn't. Spain published the book. They sold the book early, so everyone got a chance to read his book before the publication date, which I think is next Tuesday or next Wednesday or whatever. So yeah, and in it he made lots of revelations, and one of them was that he killed 25 insurgents in Afghanistan. Again, this raised the ire of many in service because, it's a bit uncouth to talk about what you've done and how many people you've killed. Only kind of nut jobs do that. But anyway, I said to the missus, gee, I think the Taliban are going to really enjoy him mentioning this. And I was right. Yeah, that's the top headline today. Taliban taunts Harry. He's just put a giant whopping target on the back of his parka. I imagine he wears a parka. But yeah, because what a scalp that would be if they could take him out. And he wanted his privacy and everything. Well, he's just guaranteed he's not going to have any privacy now. And then there's going to be people saying, well, he needs his security. He needs it. Well, there's lots of Harry stuff. Lots of Harry stuff. We don't want to talk. No more Harry. No more Harry. Let's talk about Britain's best paid woman. Do you know who that is? Do you know who Britain's best paid woman? Ain't the missus. Or take on a second job, love. You could do Uber in the evenings, couldn't you? It is Denise Coates. Here she is, getting her CBE. Who's Denise Coates? Well, she is the boss of Bet365. Yeah, that's a gambling website if you're not in the know. Yeah, she took home more than 260 million in salary and dividends in the year March 2022, according to company accounts. Yeah. And that's despite her having a £37 million pay cut. And they say that gambling doesn't pay. It certainly does. Remember, the house always wins, and she's evidence of that. Oh, well. I don't want to read any more of that. Good news, everybody. There's a huge spike in UK COVID cases. Yes. That new variant, it's got a name. They've got a new name. They're getting a new catchy name. Do you remember the other name wasn't catchy enough? It wasn't catchy enough, was it? XBB.1.5. It wasn't catchy enough. So now they're calling it Kraken. Which is a shame, because I really like Kraken rum. But yeah, cases have doubled in December because the NHS is battling a twindemic. Now, they reported, they predict this twindemic back in bloody the summer. I remember them going, oh, there's going to be flu and COVID. It's like, yeah, so what did you do about it? What did you do? Did you round everyone up and jab them and give them the flu shot? No, you didn't. But there's lots of charts here which I can't even be bothered to explain. But look, there's lines and dots. But yeah, remember folks, don't get ill, don't get old, and more importantly, don't die. And this is where you're going to get Kraken, a dose of the Kraken. You know what? I got a right dose of the Kraken. I think it was that dodgy curry I had last night. Do you know what? I think I might have Kraken. I think it was that one night stand I had a few weeks ago. You could Kraken it could be anything, couldn't it? Why don't they just call it the? Is it a cough anymore? I don't even know if it's a cough. Is it a drippy nose? Who knows? Who knows? Meanwhile, we're going to the Clickham Inn in Blencow near Penrith because they clap back. This is a dog-friendly pub, apparently. Yeah, it means I can take the missus in there. Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm joshing. But when you're married to someone as good looking as me, you know you're punching above your weight. But yeah, this is a dog-friendly pub called the Clickham Inn, not the Queen's Legs. Because if you had a pub called the Queen's Legs, you'd say I'm waiting for the Queen's Legs to open so I can have a drink, and that don't sound right, does it? But the Clickham Inn, maybe they've all got arthritis. But yeah, it got a 1-star review on TripAdvisor. It said again, TripAdvisor. That's where all the loons hang out. 1 star. We won't be back. Where to start? I was going to write a long negative review. Blah blah blah. The owner, Steve, was so rude. Has 0 customer service skills. If you like a dog barking at your table, begging for food, it may be for you. And they go on about dogs. They don't like it. But Steve, he weren't having any of it. No, he wasn't. He decided I'm gonna clap. You're gonna clap back. Well, it was actually Jerry B, and they did a massive. It was a massive whoopsie. I mean, reply. Again, so long. I can't be bothered. But they said firstly upon entering. About them being self-important and how they were rude during the meal, and someone documented. They went through actually documented, and they clapped back. There you go. And that's the Clickham Inn. But if you've got a dog and you want to take them for a good night out, that sounds like the place to go. And also, don't leave it. Don't even go on TripAdvisor. Don't go there. It's no good. Good news, everybody. Junior doctors could strike for 72 hours in March because their union is demanding a 26% pay rise. Hey. That's a big pay rise, isn't it? It's a big one. Oops. Where are we? Did anyone watch The New Apprentice last night? The Apprentice returned with, you're fired. Old sugar balls. They got a Michael McIntyre lookalike. He was quite good, but they're all looking the same, aren't they? And they all looking the same. What else have we got? Oh, we've got census data. Is anyone interested in census data? Apparently, 262,000 people in England and Wales have different gender identities to their sex registered at birth, with London having the highest percentage of trans men and trans women, and Brighton the highest percentage of non-binary people. Who'd have thunk it? So I'm just zoning out because it's just such a... Who cares? Is it important? Non-binary. Non-binary means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It's meaningless. Oh yeah, I'm non-binary. Yeah, take a DNA swab, or look at the shape of their skeleton, and you'll soon have an idea of what sex they are. Remember, sex is real, gender's a construct. Don't get confused. Sex is observed at birth, not assigned, observed, because that's what doctors do. They look and go, yeah, that's got a winkle, that's a boy. That's got a lady garden, that's a girl. It's easy, it's really easy. Not that difficult. but yeah, of those of those questioned, of the 45.7 million people, 45.4 answered yes when asked, is the gender you identify with the same as your sex registered at birth? Yeah, so there you go. So what is the stats? The stat is those who are, undecided, or who just want to be individual, it breaks it down to 0.5% of the population. Gee, I think they're all on Twitter. All those people have a lot of power to be guiding be guiding a lot of social policies at the moment. Isn't it amazing that 0.5% of the population have so much power? Isn't that odd? Don't you find that weird? But there you go. Well, and while we're talking about that, this is a story. This is from America, isn't it? And this is the story of Jeff Younger, and he's trying to. Well, again, it's that thing of parents splitting, and one parent wanting one thing for the child, and the other parent wanting another. But yeah, Jeff Younger, he's got a son called James, and his mother's raising him as a girl. And California law protects trans children and their families who flee from states criminalising parents for allowing them to receive gender-affirming care. And yeah, and this father's worried that his son's going to end up, chemically castrated, and he's only 9 years old. So yeah, I mean, I won't show pictures of the children because there isn't. That's his. It's a private thing. But yeah, this is the father. This is Mr. Younger. But yeah, his wife's a doctor, and yeah, she moved to California where everything's a bit more lax there when it comes to the whole gender thing. Remember, it's not reversible, and this is a decision that people should make when they're adults, not as children. That's what's wrong with it. Let them decide when they're adults, and I mean not 18, I mean 25, when they've lived a bit, and their hormones have calmed down a bit, and they've done a bit of growing, and then they can, then they can make these radical changes to themselves, because there's going to be a lot of sad people in the future who feel that have been lied to by this terrible, terrible ideology. Oh, there's more Prince Harry stuff. Oh, do we need to do more? But Jimmy Kimmel, he's got the right idea. What they've done, because the two princes were fighting. Willie had a blow at Harold, because that's their nicknames, and for each other, and there was a fight. So what did Jimmy Kimmel, the talk show guy, he reenacted it with two guys dressed as Prince. Bitch slapping each other, and then one falls on the dog bowl. And I think that's probably how it really happened. I imagine that's exactly how it happened. But yeah, whilst Prince Harry was high on drugs, he imagined that a bin was talking to him, and he also consulted a psychic to talk to his mother, like you do. He also convinced his chauffeur to drive at 65 miles an hour through that Paris tunnel so he could feel what it was like to be on the final journey of Lady Di. I don't think this is going well for him. I think this is not, it's not the. I don't think this is the big win that he thinks it is. I think again public opinion of turning around. But I do have actually an exclusive picture of Prince William preparing to reconcile with his brother, Are you ready for this? This is the exclusive picture. There he is. He's getting ready to meet Harry. There you go. See, we even do jokes here. It's not all serious stuff. It's not all serious. Meanwhile, Totnes. I was only thinking about Totnes the other day, about telling the story about when me and the missus went to Totnes on journalistic purposes. But yeah, we're headed down to Totnes in Devon. I'll tell that story another day. There's a new development, a new housing development. It's called Rainbow View Buildings, Rainbow View, and you're going to like this. I'm just going to say, that ain't chocolate milkshake. Yeah, they got a problem with puddles of excrement. Yeah, and the tenants in the block of flats blame builders for horrendous living conditions. Nikki Clargo, who lives in the flats, said that they've had dozens of issues since moving in. But Totnes Property, that runs the I guess it's social housing, has blamed the blockages on people flushing unsuitable material down the toilet. What, poo? I don't think it could handle a really solid turd, could it? But yeah, Nikki, who's an oceanographer, takes pictures of the seabed. So it's been horrendous, to be honest. It's been in the garden a few times as well. And it's not the first. I'm just talking about the slurry. Slurry is the polite word for saying it. So at first, never it was. It's like a slurry. It is a slurry. Then I saw toilet paper on the patio, and it was obvious. Ay. And yeah, it's not. You don't want to live there. We're not moving there, missus. No, we'll just stay. We'll stay here. Yeah, we'll stay here. Meanwhile, this is a good. You'll like this story. Talking to the missus. I'm going to talk about. This is retired civil servant Tapas Sandilaya, and he's a retired civil servant, and he's he was a bit lonely. A 65-year-old was a bit lonely because his partner Idrani died last year. Sorry, not last year. I'm thinking it's still 2022. In 2021, she died aged 59, and so he got a replica of her maid. Oh, look at that! Yeah. Now we've talked about sex dolls before, but he's got one that looks like the missus. I wonder if he's got a voice box. He presses a button and she nags him. Don't do the dishes. Make us a cup of tea. But yeah, that's pretty eerie, isn't it? But that's one way of dealing with loneliness. At least she hasn't got one of those open mouths. Because if you notice, those sex dolls always have that open mouths, don't they? There you go. So, missus, that's what. No, I'm just having the missus freeze dried. Yeah? No? Alright then. I think I'm in a lot of trouble. How about I've got a bit of cult news. Now this is I don't normally do this. This is a bit of a creepy story, but it's a technology I'm interested in. This is the story of Martin Armstrong. I saw this story the other day from Pembrokeshire, and he's been jailed for life. Here he is. I'm going to let you guess what he's done. He is known as he's yeah, he's one of those people with the children. Yeah. Force himself on the children. One of those people, right? And he used to document it and uploaded this stuff to the internet. Lots and lots and lots of videos and pictures to the dark web. But he was arrested last July. The 50-year-old was arrested. and he pleaded guilty to 41 counts of, you know, because I can't, because I'll get taken down forever. He had two victims that he had, but the reason, now this is the really interesting part, right? The reason he got identified is they've developed new technology, because he'd pixelated his face, but using new techniques, they've got this new tool that can unpixelate images, and so they could identify him. Yeah. So he got a life imprisonment with a minimum term of 14 years. But the series of pictures have been known to crime agencies since 2013, as they've been shared, around the world across 18 countries. And the folder of images are still being shared in the UK as early as 2022 across 6 of these horrible websites. But yeah, they said that Armstrong used Photoshop to place a zigzag distortion across his image, but didn't disguise the identities of his victims. But they managed to unpick it using this new tool, and that is why we're talking about it. Because isn't that amazing? You think you can hide? Oh no! But I reckon these new high-tech tools is going to help identify future perpetrators of these crimes, even if and they do a lot of work. They identify furniture, so they can locate roughly where you are in the world, tattoos, all sorts of identifying marks, and it's a real fascinating. The National Crime Agency have got a real boatload of tools to use now, which is amazing. Right, okay, let's lighten the load a bit. That was a bit of a heavy one, but I thought the technology was interesting. Meanwhile, let's go to Wisconsin. There was a fire at a dairy plant on Monday, and what happened? Well, it melted butter. Yeah, it sent a river of melted butter flowing throughout the factory and into storm drains. Right? And it managed to block an historic water artery. Yeah. The butter runoff and heavy smoke slowed access to the structure, officials said, with many firefighting crews working for hours to contain and extinguish the fire. But yeah, the slick runoff poured into storm sewers into the Portage Canal. This is a 200-year-old waterway on the National State Register of Historic Places, and it blocked it. So you could say river blocked by river of butter. But have you seen the price of Lurpak? And we do have a stock image of some butter there, just so you know what it looks like, because you might not know. But yeah, a river of butter. Right, now we're heading over to the Daily Star website, and we're talking about. This is. The Daily Star website's got lots of pop-ups that like to mess around. We're talking about Caitlin Nash Robinson. Yeah. And she describes, she's a taxi driver, right? Yeah, she's a taxi driver. And she describes herself as UK sexiest taxi driver. Yeah. Shall you have a look at her? There you go. That's the UK sexiest taxi driver. She won. What did she win? She won a Miss Diamond Curve UK competition 2 months ago in Leeds. And this is what she looks like when she's driving the taxi. There you go. That's the UK sexiest taxi driver. Okay. Our next story comes from the Asian Journal of Surgery. Here we go. Shall we show you the pictures first? Why not? Let's get us all ready for the story. Oh, there's the picture. What have we got here, Darren? What have we got? Well, I know you like these stories, don't you? I know you really like these stories. But this is the story of a 12-year-old Chinese boy who stuck a thermometer down his urethra whilst bashing the bishop. Yeah, that's a polite way of putting it. That's the biggest euphemism. Yeah, spanking the monkey. Yeah, and he suffered severe pain for 9 hours when it got stuck. I'm not surprised. And when they took an x-ray, they revealed that the thermometer had been inserted so far up his urinary tract that it actually entered the boy's bladder. But they used keyhole surgery to extract the thermometer. They made a tiny hole in the tissue to the bladder and inserted really small tools to manipulate the thermometer at the correct angle to pull it out through the keyhole. And here is the picture of said thermometer. There you go. Give it a rinse off. You'll be able to put it back under your tongue. Oh God, this is another miserable. So go from a boy with a thermometer in his urethra to someone who hasn't got a urethra. But it's cult news. This is Jesse Hawthorne from Caerphilly. Here you go. Don't worry, this isn't a man. What were they charged with? They were charged with dipping their prosthetic penis into a pub goer's pint glass as a drunken prank. They then went on to smash up a fruit machine in a rage when they were asked to leave. I'm not going to say he because it's obvious it's she because it's a transgendered man. Yeah, fined £200 and ought to pay £400 in compensation. There you go. Meanwhile, Hawthorne was the first transgender person to be convicted of revenge porn after they shared a sexually explicit photograph of an ex on Facebook. They were also jailed in 2018 for violent assault. So, yeah, not good. And this is the pub where it happened. So you might want to avoid this place if you want to be able to drink your pint without any fake danglies being, polluting it. I'm running out of euphemisms here. I'm running out of euphemisms. Oh, God, it's depressing news, isn't it? What have we got? Meanwhile, train strikes have been good. I think we're on day 87 of train strikes, but for some people have been saying, have been going on to Twitter to say, it's great. Look, I've been working from home all week thanks to the train strike. Everyone's just digging it. See, there's another one who's been working from home all week. So maybe it's not going the way it used to, because now everyone can work from home. Everyone's got Zoom. So has Mick Lynch got the leverage he thought he's got? I don't know, not anymore. So for some, the train strikes are good fun. Have we got any more funnies? No real funnies. No. Meanwhile, let's go to North Korea. North Korean students, have been expelled from university and have been sent to work in a coal mine. Yeah, 4 students have been caught speaking on their mobile phones with a softer accent and using terms of endearment that have been associated with people that come from South Korea. Yeah. So they got sent to work in a coal mine. Yeah, and they reckon these 4 students had watched too much television because they reckon they was singing out loud songs and yeah, that's what goes on. That's what goes on. They've been sent to the coal mine. See, North Korean students sent. Students over here have got it easy, haven't they? Got it easy. What else have we got? Meanwhile, our Lord and Saviour Elon Musk has been looking at ChatGPT. I was telling the missus about this. It's an artificial intelligence program, and it's very, very clever. But even Elon's been checking it out, and he's come to the conclusion that goodbye homework. He says that, but I was also reading that there's a fellow out there that's writing an antidote to it. He's writing a separate AI that will look at students' work. You can submit it to the AI and it will go through it and tell if it's actually written by a human or not. So it's the old poacher turned gamekeeper, but this time using AI bots, because ChatGPT is an open AI thing. I watched one video where a guy got it to write apps because you can use it to write software, which is very clever. You just tell it what to do and it starts to burble away. You have to be very specific though and kind of cajole it into getting the right thing, otherwise it can get a little bit wrong. Ping. I think I've done more than enough. Yes, I have. So should we end with a... Oh, that's not a good animal story. This is a terrible animal story. But I'm going to cover it anyway. This is in Southern California, Riverside County. And this fellow, he abandons his dog. He just throws it over the fence like that. And of course the authorities are looking for him now. But yeah, they're looking for a home for the pit bull. But they know who the owner is. It's a guy called Robert Reyes Jr. and he's disappeared. But yeah, he threw it over a razor wire fence. And this is the dog in question. But yeah, luckily the animal was unhurt. But they want him for awful. Just who'd do that? The 8-year-old pit bull is just thrown in the air. But he luckily lands on his paws. Why would you do that? Just wickedness. But we're going to end on a fascinating animal story. Yeah. We're going to Phil Carter's back garden. This is This was happened over Christmas. Up in Ilkeston in Derbyshire. And he said he couldn't believe what he was seeing. And again, it's hard to believe when you see the video. Again, if I showed you the still images, you wouldn't believe it. It is a two-legged fox. He's missing his back legs, and I reckon this fox, he's been in their garden and he's been walking around and having the time of his life. Now, obviously, he's lost his legs in an accident, I guess. But isn't that amazing? He's just they call it. They really is. He really is a fantastic Mr. Fox with two legs. Phil Carter said, I thought she was joking at first when his wife saw the animal, or had misseen it, and it was 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I thought it must have been a trick of light, but there it was, as bright as day, walking around on just the two legs. And he managed to capture the footage on his phone. You see, it was fascinating. He said it stood bolt upright and ran like a human on two legs. It had two little stumps at the back. Now, maybe it was born like that. Maybe it had an accident. We'll never know. But wildlife experts, actually, from Derbyshire Nature Reserve got in touch with the couple after seeing the footage. And they reckon that the fox was born with the deformity. Because it didn't look like it had been hit by a car, otherwise its whole back end would have been damaged. But there you go, a fox that can walk around on two legs, an amazing thing. You see dogs do that. They have their legs amputated and they still manage to walk around. Anyway, I think I've done enough damage. Shall we see if there's anybody in the chat? Let's have a look. 6 people in. Oh, I've killed it. Scott's in. He said, good morning from hi-ho. Hi-ho. Andrew's in. He says, stories. What stories? Indeed. What stories are they? He says, it's an upside down world we live in today, indeed. Brendan says, any tips on making a chicken madras? I don't know. I don't make curry. That's not true. I do, but I just can't be bothered to talk. Andrew says, don't think much of the new Peter Gabriel single. Sounds like his early stuff. Just sounds like Peter Gabriel. It's it sounds even weaker than Up material. On hindsight and reflection, I mean, my review was done literally after the event. I've had a little bit more time for it to percolate, and it's all right. It's not Sledgehammer, is it? It's not digging in the dirt. It's just, it's not Games Without Frontiers. It's a little bit, as a single, as something to promote the album, it's kind of weak, and you want a hit, you want something that's going to be, I don't know, memorable, people can dance to. I don't know. I just look at music. I look at the music biz these days, and I wonder, what's it all about? What's it all for? So. It doesn't bode well for the album. Of course, there'll be people that love it, and that'll be great for them. But for the rest of us who have sense, we'll just stand there and go, "Oh God!" And I had a real hard time with Up. Yeah, that was a real bloated turd of an album, And I'm a big Peter Gabriel fan. So it hurts me. It hurts me more than it hurts you. It hurts. Alex says, bonjour. Thoughts on Prince Hazza? He's quite mad. He's as mad as his mother. I don't know. I think he's really quite bonkers. Oh, I want my privacy. And then he hangs his brother out to dry. I mean, his brother's been through all the same experiences he has when it comes to his mother, dying, and has been through all the same pressures as him inside the royal family, and he just hangs him out to dry and says, well, that's what he gets for leaking those stories about me. You just done the same. 2 wrongs don't make a right. And I think it's seriously damaged his reputation. I mean, before, he looked a bit daft because, I want privacy, then sells off, to the highest bidder, to Netflix and Spotify and whatnot. And that's fine, that's his business. But it really is, he really is the privileged moaning about their privilege, and so you won't get much sympathy from me. I think, the press went after his missus a lot. Again, I wasn't really into it because, superficial. It's like, oh. But then watching their documentary, when they showed you all the press cuttings and the angle they often took, you did think, there's a real vendetta here from the press against her. But the thing is with the royal family is you've got to play the game when it comes to the media. This is why Prince Anne does okay. This is why Edward does okay, because you've got to give a little and they'll leave you alone. If you're actively antagonistic against the press, they will deliver bad stories about you. That's how it works. And he should have been smarter, He should have been smarter. He's not very smart. He's got the same mental capacity as Prince Andrew. And this interview you're going to see with Bradbury is going to have the same kind of effect. It's going to be the same car crash, look through your finger, your open fingers as he crashes and burns. There will be some people that, that think he's great and whatnot, but the whole thing, mentioning his service and how many men he's killed. Again, if you've known anyone who's been in the forces, they don't talk about that. My grandfather and my great-grandfather were both, my grandfather was in the Navy and my great-grandfather was in the Army, and neither of them talked about their service and what they did. And, certainly not my great-grandfather, because he was in 2 World Wars. My grandfather was, obviously just in World War II. And they never talked. They never talked about what happened. It's what you do. And the ones that brag and talk about it, usually it didn't happen, or they're psychopaths. There's something wrong with them. So that's just my experience, and that's that. The real downside is the thinking of all the good things that Harry could have done if he'd have just stayed put, and and Meghan and him stayed in the UK, and he could have been a real ambassador for the country and for the royal family and for himself and for his family. For his family, they could have done really great things, but he just seems to have tarnished it, and that's a shame. You're given this privilege, you're given this position, and there's he could have at least felt like he was saving the world. Now he's just comes across as somebody who's really kind of bitter and spiteful, and that's not a good thing. It will destroy him. And when she leaves him, because one day I reckon she will, he's going to have nowhere to go, and it's going to be really damaging for him. And that's the person I feel sorry for, because he's burnt all his bridges. Families fight, families argue, but you've got to have the humility and the grace to sometimes forgive and forget, and to just get along. It didn't work for me and my father. He never wanted anything to do with me, even though he was the one that left. He was the one that had the affair. He's the one that set up the second family. But I was too much of a reminder of his past, so he had nothing to do with me, even though I tried to build bridges with him and tried to get him to see his grandchildren. I tried to be the fair, understanding son, even though I was knocked back and insulted over and over again. I still didn't learn until the very end, until my mum died, and he still carried on when I told him about her death, because I thought it was the right thing to do. And that's families for you. They're weird, strange things, and people that act like that I don't think are deserving of a family, to be honest. I think you've got to have the humility and some humanity, and he hasn't got it, and that's what I think. Zeb's in, he says, have a nice day. I'm trying so hard. Took all the Christmas decorations down, so I'm feeling a little bit sad because Christmas is over. G-Man says, afternoon, literally just in the door and sat down. You have to rewind it. Brendan says he loves the new Gabriel. Well, Brendan's easily pleased. SL Music says, do you look forward to a new record? You're the best, Bob. Oh, I know that. Do I look forward to records? No, I don't really look forward to anything anymore. I tend to forget. Sometimes I pre-order stuff and forget that I've ordered it. I don't have the excitement like I used to. Again, in the old days, I used to go to Woolworths or Our Price or HMV or whatnot, and that was exciting. But I'm so disconnected, and I find music so unrewarding, unless I'm playing Night Song. But other than that, only my music's the best music these days. So Oakenshield says, good afternoon. Indeed. Alex says, well said. I'm an ex-squaddy, and the one thing you don't do is talk about kills openly, beyond crass. Indeed, again, it's just a no-no. And just, again, my great-grandfather only started to talk about what happened to him in the war when he started going a little bit doolally at the end. It was like the last couple of weeks before he died, and he started losing grip. And he was in his, God, it would have been his early, was it? It was either late 80s or early 90s. It was touching 90, I think. Maybe 90 something. And my nan was visiting him in the hospital, and he was just telling all these really weird stories of things that had happened. And, you know, like him being caught and the Germans, you know, smashing his teeth with a gun. And it's stuff she'd never heard of. And you know, with the barrel of, you know, forcing a gun into his mouth, and that was when and she'd never heard of it. And, you know, she was, crikey, she would have been in her early 60s when she found this out. That's when he died. And that was the only time he ever said anything, was when he was starting to lose grip on reality. And who knows if that happened? You know, that might have just been a fantasy. We don't know, because he never talked about it. You know, so you know. Oh, SL, you're giving me money. Very good. I like SL. SL's my favourite today. Again, YouTube doesn't pay, so I need people like SL to give me their hard-earned cash, because I'm a terrible, terrible loser e-beggar. There you go. Brendan has retracted his message. Any love for Nucleus? I don't know. What's Nucleus? What, the nucleus of a cell? Is that a band? And there are many. Isn't there many Nucleuses? And there one that's spelt with a different. Is that? Yeah, Jazz Fusion. Oh God, not Jazz Fusion. Isn't there Nucleus with a K as well? Or did I dream that? I think I dreamt that. No, I'm not a big fan of Jazz Fusion. Come on. It's Jazz Fusion. It's the worst kind of fusion. Isn't it? My God, have you seen how many members are in that band? Look at this. Look. It don't stop. I see Roy Babington was in it. Tony Levin on the drums. Not that Tony Levin. No. Now I'm going to have to go. I'm sure I've heard some of their stuff, but like a lot of music, it's like shit off a shovel, just slides off. Anyway, and with that lovely mental image, I'm going to toodle off because it's lunchtime. It is the worst kind of fusion. Oakenshield says, great rock on Vertigo. Oh no. I've annoyed all the Nucleus fans now. I piss everyone off, I do. You know what I'm like, I'm terrible. I'm the worst person in the world, everybody knows that. So anyway, I've pissed off the Gabriel fans, I've pissed off the Nucleus fans, the Prince Harry fans are coming for me. Anyway, thank you for watching. That was Friday. I didn't do one yesterday because I can't remember what happened. Something happened. Oh, that was it. I was on the phone to the insurance, the pet insurance company, and even though last Thursday the vet had sent them everything in the email, they never received it, and so they only just got my claim yesterday because I had to go through it all again with them. That's why I didn't do coffee time. So I was on the phone for a whole hour for like ages and going through that again. But at least the man came and unblocked the drain, which I've been going on at them since the beginning of December. And it doesn't smell like we live in a toilet anymore. That's nice. Hooray! Hooray for me! So yeah, that was the news. Thank you for watching. Don't do it again. Alright. Drink it up.